Hey everybody, I hope you're all doing well, enjoying your summer. Unfortunately, it is coming to a close. I did send out all the information to you guys. Hopefully you're all in Schoology, all getting the August work done. I apologize for the amount of summer work, but with a week less this year before the AP test, we have a lot of stuff we got to take care of. So we're going to start out. This is the first of two videos we're going to do in the summer here. This one's going to focus on some of the first settlers in America prior to Europeans, as well as some American geography. Another short video I'll send out is going to talk about the Native American tribes, look at the first week that we are here. So we'll start with American geography. Take some notes on this if you could, please. Have those available. We're going to have some regions, lakes, rivers, plains, etc. Kind of what are the geographical features we see here in America? One of the big themes we'll see in A Push is that we're looking at how Americans affect geography and vice versa. So first off, we have our regions. You can identify different regions here. The Northeast being essentially from Pennsylvania up north, Southeast, kind of that line, if you will, kind of Mason-Dixon line, kind of the slavery line, if you will, going from West Virginia all the way down to Arkansas, stopping in Mississippi. We're in the Midwest up here, essentially going from the Rocky Mountains over. The Ohio River is kind of the southern boundary right here of Great Lakes up this way. Southwest, basically being Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Arizona, and the west out here. Rockies, heading out west. Mountain-wise, a couple big mountain ranges you can see here. Sierra Nevadas, obviously right going around here through California. A lot of earthquakes, still growing mountains, yet a lot of fault lines over there. The Rocky Mountains are in the middle here. Kind of being that border, if you will, kind of splitting the country in half. That was kind of that big line between the two parts of the country for the longest time. They're younger mountains, not really weathered yet, not really eroded away, not growing yet, but they're still pretty young. All the Appalachian over here on the eastern coast, kind of the original border expansion of the United States. These are older mountains, worn down, very, very rounded tops to them. So those kind of mountain ranges we see here. So obviously they're going to play a big role in how the United States spreads, how it expands, how people move about the U.S. The plains, obviously Great Plains being the big flat areas, essentially between the Mississippi River and Rocky Mountains. Very good land, very good soil, lots of animals out there. They're going to play a big role both in the American life and life for Americans as well. River-wise, we see a lot of river basins. So the biggest river basin is Mississippi Basin. Mississippi cut the country in half here. Water runs from both areas of mountains, essentially down to the Mississippi River, all flow down to the Gulf of Mexico. Hugely important for transportation, and that was kind of the main highway, if you will, thoroughfare for the first half of our country's existence. Lakes, biggest by the freshwater lakes here, the Great Lakes, a lot of easy transportation, really influence us here a lot in Wisconsin as well. And the Great Lakes are the largest bodies of fresh water in the world. So it's kind of cool to think about that and kind of look at how, as we go through the year, how these different features are going to start impacting people. So how both the idea of the American geography impacts how America develops, how the United States develops and stuff, those kind of ideas, also how we end up impacting those features. Going forward, so who the first people were here. So went back about 22,000 years ago, trying to figure out who was here first. Now, obviously, a lot of stuff going on about immigration, those kind of things, language, all that kind of stuff going on here. But remember, there were people here before European people were here. And so we're start talking about just this idea of how people got here. And the biggest theory is the land bridge theory. Here's Bering Strait up here. If you watch Deadliest Catch, you kind of know all about that. But the idea is that during the Ice Age, when ice was covering most of this area, a land bridge was exposed between Siberia and Alaska, allowing people and animals to cross over here. The people were following the animals because they hunted them to survive. And then eventually people then filtered down throughout the rest of America. There are other theories too, ideas of island hopping. People island hop on boats down to South America. There's other theories that also exist out there too. But this is probably the best theory as to how all this stuff, how people got here and how the first settlers worked out here. A lot of early people were nomadic, we think. We believe they're nomadic. There's no permanent home, kind of moving around, especially following herds of animals, big animals that existed during the time of the Ice Age. And a lot of times you look at contemporary Native Americans of our history, along the country been around, you kind of see some of the same ideas still, especially in the Great Plains areas. How they use all parts of the animals, travel in groups, and find ways to hunt. Here's some of the animals they would have been hunting, and these actually existed up here in Wisconsin too. Things like mastodons and giant sloths, mammoths, woolly rhinos, those kind of things what existed here. We do have skeletons. There's skeletal evidence even in the United States of these giant Ice Age animals. And in fact, these early Native Americans took them down with spears and something called an addle. Addle was this curved device here used to chuck a spear. That was kind of cool, kind of like a spear chucker, if you will. Also, used fire to chase these animals off cliffs. We found these huge animal graveyards, essentially at the bottom of cliffs, where that animals are chased off and they fell and died and that kind of thing. So these animals did eventually die out. We think sometimes it could have been because of hunting or climate change. I just read a recent article said that these animals probably died out because we hunted them. So there's a lot of different kind of theories on that. It could have been things got too warm. It could have been we hunted them. But imagine, for a group of people, one big mammoth is, a couple tons of meat. That's going to keep you alive for quite a while. So it's kind of an interesting way of living that would happen here. We're at the Ice Age. Now, as the Ice Age ends, these animals really aren't exist anymore. And it's going to change how you do things. So in certain areas, especially in the Southwest, we see farmers develop. So the Anasazi, the Hohokam built the idea of pueblos, so houses and cliffs made out of adobe or mud bricks. Got rock and stuff in the river to use. Created irrigated fields like we see in Mesopotamia and Egypt, and used pottery. And so these desert farmers kind of found a way to adapt and live. Other areas find ways to adapt and live as well. Throughout much of the Midwest, we had mound builders. So lived in North America for about 4,000 years, give or take, depending on who you believe. And we know them call them mound builders because they built these very big mounds of earth. And we see a lot of this in Wisconsin, actually, here in our area. We can actually go just a few miles away from Sauk Prairie and find mounds. There's kind of three big timelines, if you will, areas of this. You have the archaic, the very, very early culture, a lot of sites in Louisiana down south. Also, these woodland eastern tribes, that'd be us right here, and also the Mississippi and Hopewell culture we see exist here in Wisconsin as well. Hopewell, Mississippian were a lot of the groups that were modern-day Wisconsin, part of the woodland era as well as Mississippian era. They built thousands of mounds here. A lot of the mounds would have been conical mounds, basically, a mound, a circular mound of earth, essentially, or a flat-top mound. Other mounds were effigy mounds, the shape of animals, so things like birds and bears you see here. Here would be an example of like the lines or the conical mounds you see down here. You see, here's an example of a bear mound. Here's an example of a thunderbird or a bird mound. You see here, eagle. We see cities that exist on all these mounds. Aztalan is an ancient Mississippian city in southern Wisconsin near Lake Mills. So just off Highway 94, actually heading towards Milwaukee. And people think it might be a link to the ancient Aztecs, so they call it Aztalan. The similar kind of construction, similar kind of flat-top mounds we see with Aztec pyramids, you see in Aztalan, with a huge city with a fortification, all that kind of stuff built there to survive. So what are these mounds we're talking about? So these mounds are just basically piles of dirt, okay, big piles of dirt built up, whether it be the effigy variety or whether it be just a flat-topped or a conical mound. Cahokia is a Mississippian city in southern Illinois, and this is an example of what it may have looked like here. Calling a city of almost 10,000 people, before year 0 AD, and huge city here we're talking, with huge mounds that have been built up here in Wisconsin. Like I said, there are hundreds of mounds in Wisconsin. And many may have been destroyed due to construction of roads and buildings, those kind of things. And the few we have left are trying to be preserved. It's kind of funny, though, because the National Effigy Mound Park is actually in Iowa. So it's a really cool place. If you can go there, check it out. I encourage it. Very, very cool place to check out. Why build the mounds? A lot of theories about why that people built the mounds. One was defense. In Cahokia and also in Aztalan, people think maybe it was a defensive idea that you want to be up high to defend against intruders or defend against invading groups. It could have been religion. Inside mounds, when they've taken apart, excavated them, they have found bones, bundles of bones. So people have been kind of like bound up a certain way. They have found bodies of possible sacrifices. They found tools, weapons, those kind of things. So, not sure. The biggest issue is that there's no written language. So we don't really know. Like, you go to Egypt or Mesopotamia, we know why they built pyramids and why they built ziggurats. We don't know why they built the mountains here because we don't have that language. We have myths, we have legend, but we don't have any kind of written source that we can come back with. We go down south a little bit to Mexico, Central America. Three big groups we talked about in world history: the Mayan, Aztecs, and Incas. Real quick review here for that, you guys. The Maya is located down here in the Yucatan Peninsula and northern Guatemala. survived between 250 and 600 of the Common Era after year zero. Very, very advanced civilization. Go check it out. The ruins, definitely check them out. So you can see kind of the huge pyramids that were built, stone buildings, possible schools, written language, calendars, artwork. Thing is, though, remember here's everything from the Mayans were abandoned before year 1000. So there was no interaction between Europeans and Mayans at all. The first interaction happens in the Caribbean islands. It also happens with the Aztecs. The Aztecs were around from 1350 to 1550, about 200 years in central Mexico, right around modern-day Mexico City. The capital, Tenochtitlan, is modern-day Mexico City. It was built on a lake. Kind of cool story. They said that, according to the legend, they were going to put their capital city where they saw an eagle sitting on a cactus eating a snake. Well, they saw it on an island in the middle of a city. So, they had really advanced methods of farming. They built what were called chinampas, basically islands out in the lake where they grew their corn, grew their food, all that kind of stuff. Very advanced government. They had an alliance, if you will, of states put together. The king, it was a very much a war culture. So they were like, allies of the Aztecs here, and they're allies. And they're also then, tributary states. Basically, they had to pay tribute, pay taxes to the Aztecs, or they got killed. And so that's kind of how it worked out that way. So some people think that, they kind of helped the Spanish against them. But eventually in 1521, Spaniards land led by Hernan Cortez essentially wipe out all the Aztecs with the help of disease and that kind of stuff. We'll talk about that more when we get back. You also have the Inca population, which were in South America, Peru, Bolivia, modern-day Chile. Huge empires stretching through the mountains here. And all connected by roads. They used a very advanced social system. People had to work a certain number of days for the emperor, a certain number of days for themselves. Almost like communal living, if you will. There's no money, no written language. They had a counting system, though, which is kind of cool. They had a system of roads for communication. They had runners that made work back and forth. And eventually they, too, wiped out in the 1600s by a guy named Francisco Pizarro, Spaniard, coming here for the silver mines. Talk about that more in detail as well. As we end this video, guys, don't forget take notes of this presentation. Next presentation, you have notes for Key Concept 1. Read Red Eyes, answer questions, post your discussion in Schoology. All this material will be on your first test. It would be first Friday, September 11th, when we get back and start school up. I'm expecting the first test for period 1 will probably be September 18th. So put those calendars on your list, guys. Thank you very much. Moose out. See you later.